Hello, everybody! The lighting is messed up in here, but let's see if I can just go over here. No, opposite direction. There we go. Hello! It's good to see you. I've missed you. Hi, good morning, good evening, good night. You know what we're gonna hit that light over there. It's bothering me. This should be better. Okay. Whatevs. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. And as I always say, if you're going through a mental health problem, please dial 988. They are like the 911 for your brain. Whatever you're going through, I guarantee you, is more important than watching this podcast. Because it's not a podcast. It's a YouTube. So, I figure that tonight, I'm actually going to do two of these bad boys. Because one, I promised you guys yesterday I would talk about what led me from Jersey to Arizona to Massachusetts, back to Jersey. I promised you that. I use the words I promise. And then I also was getting that political fever today. And I just didn't think it would be appropriate to do both of those. I'm trying to get this light off. Oh, I know what it is. And then I turn this on. Perfect. I just didn't deem it appropriate to combine those two. Because one is about my political opinions based on research, and one is based on experience that I went through. So you get to start with political. Now, if no one noticed, I'm wearing a shirt to help everybody accept the fact that we don't have to take everything that seriously. Look, everyone knows who I'm voting for. Joe Biden. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. That's my boy. But if he's not your boy, I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. I actually have no opinion on you. Until we form a relationship. Then I'll form my opinion on other factors, but they won't be your political persuasion. I talk about politics a lot because it's what I like to do. And if I just talk to liberals all the time, well, my life would be boring. But this week, with what's going on in Gaza, I actually was getting attacked by more liberals than conservatives. I don't know. Story time. When I went to high school, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was 1996. And I came out and said, I support, I don't know if I said gay marriage or same-sex marriage or people of the same gender to be able to marry. I got the shit beaten out of me. Like, you just don't say that here. You know, okay. Back at that same location 20 years later, all the kids are telling me how I'm too conservative. I'm too socially conservative. Me. Okay. It's just funny how the world works. Okay. Oh, I wanted to clean up about the 10 Commandments. First off, thou not shalt have any other idols before me. but the American flag is going to be draped in the classroom. And my definition of an idol is something you have to stand, put your hand over your heart, and blindly say a pledge to. So you're going to have the 10 Commandments, and then do something automatically that violates it. All you need is Trump to introduce them. I swear, this world is drunk because I'm not. I'm still trying to figure out the game because they don't care about the kids and Christianity. There's some upper level political game being played. I still have not yet been able to figure it out. And I hate that. Okay. So I said yesterday, I believe that Joe Biden, the president, has a 99.5% chance of beating Donald Trump. I hold to that today. But there were a few reasons I missed because I was just really doing a Trump-Biden comparison. Now I'm just going to go more into good old Uncle Joe. So, no, not Uncle Joe, Uncle Donnie. Can you imagine if Trump was your uncle and over the holidays you would expect he'd give you $50 and he'd give you nothing? Or a check for $50 that would bounce? That would suck. Okay. What do I mean by staff? In 2016, Trump had probably one of the most amazing campaign staffs I have ever seen in my life. Their personalities meshed in such a way they were able to temper Trump. His ego was still obviously ridiculously massive, but not like it is now. And on that team was Steve Bannon, who I believe is going to prison tomorrow, Kellyanne Conway. I try to hate her. I can't. She's such a skilled debater. I would love to take a debate class from her. Michael Glassner, don't know who that is. Dan Scavino, I think he's in jail. I think. Hope Hicks, who just testified against Trump while crying, and she also, gave him COVID. And John Podesta. That was a strong team. They knew what to do. They knew what's smart politically and what's stupid politically. Have you ever heard Trump apologize? You probably just thought no, but the answer is yes, once. After the Access Hollywood tape came out, he apologized for locker room talk and inappropriate conversation. He didn't want to, and nor was that apology his idea. But he had a team who could convince him to apologize. Well, they're not around anymore. So now they have been replaced with Chris Lativa, Susan Wiles, Brian Jack, Steve Young. Hope it's not the guy from The Walking Dead, because I love that guy. I don't recognize any of those names so far. The first name I recognize is Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is the fiance of Donald Trump Jr., also accused sexual harasser, and Steve Miller, who just wants to throw everyone who wasn't born here out of the country. Also, his daughter-in-law is chairing the RNC. And I bet you someone just thought, no, just co-chairing. What's the name of the co-chair? To thine own self be true. I don't know it. But that's the second list of people I read off can't hold a political candle to that first group. And remember how close 2016 was. No one's going to be able to rein in Trump during this campaign. It's not going to happen. So he's going to talk, and the more he talks, the probability of him saying something very stupid and offensive goes up because he's a very stupid man. Biden should just talk as little as possible. Remember the whole Biden in the basement jokes from the last election? Run an identical campaign. Let Trump defeat himself. I always said the last election was more lost by Donald Trump than won by Joe Biden. Let Trump eat his foot. Now, Joe's a gaffe machine too. So he's always prone to say something dumb, something. Keep him just, speech occasionally, preferably pre-written, and boom. Okay, so, and the next issue is the 34 felony convictions. Okay. I started getting worried during this campaign one time. I have questioned myself on whether or not Trump will win. Never, because he's not going to win. If Biden's going to win, I've questioned it once. And that was after he was first indicted. I believe that was the New York case. And his numbers went up. Because I knew a lot more arrests were coming. But if his numbers go up after an indictment, that's not good, because he's done infinity indictable things. Or Googleplex, for those who can't count to infinity. So you have no idea how relieved I was this week. After he was convicted, his numbers went down. So I guess in America, indictment, if you're running for president, your numbers will go up. Conviction, down. And he's guilty of everything he's being charged with. Then there's the question of, is he going to go to jail? I've been saying no the whole time. And I think I still think no. He should. But Judge Merchan, who the Republican Party has decided to make a villain out of, although he has done an impeccably good judicial performance. He performed his duties well. Judge Merchan is scared, I think, of setting the precedent of sending a former president to jail. If Trump weren't president before, if he was like Martha Stewart in this type of scandal, he'd be in jail right now. But he's not Martha Stewart, he's Donald Trump. And actually, he's not Donald Trump, he's former President Donald Trump. And if he gets put in jail, it's going to be a first time in American history. And Judge Merchan knows that's a huge responsibility. I don't know if I'd want to go in the history books for that. Because, like, that's what no matter what he does on the bench from here on out, if he puts Trump in jail, his reputation lies on that. Is Trump guilty of all the contempt? Absolutely. Talk bad about the guy's daughter. But still, he knows where he stands in history. Okay. So my next reason is, Hunter Biden. Wait. You're telling me that Hunter, the president's son, who just got convicted of illegal gun ownership, who there's pictures of him smoking crack, is going to help his father win? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Why? We live in an addicted society. Whether it be food, like me, gambling, like me at one point, alcohol, drugs, you just name it. So, I beseech you to find one person without a family member who's been affected by addiction. And the way Joe has loved his son and cared for him without reservation is going to warm women's hearts. Then you got the other dude who had 3 kids who he abandoned for the woman he was cheating with, who he had a kid with, who he abandoned for the next woman he was cheating with. And then a little later on, when the first wife died, for a tax break, he put her body in his golf resort. I don't understand why it sounds like over at that. Like, the fact that Donald Trump put Ivana Trump's body on his golf course so he could get a tax break. Can you list me something more disrespectful? Well, probably, but it's really bad. It's not nice. I highly doubt it was her wishes to be buried there. Okay. Judge Cannon. I'm happy I put her down. You know, she was like a last minute insert into this conversation. Judge Eileen Cannon is the judge in the documents case. And she was appointed by Donald Trump. Her lower court falls under the jurisdiction of the 11th Circuit Court. Okay? The 11th Circuit has been overruling her left and right. She is going to get kicked off that case. The prosecutor, Jack Smith, he knows what he's doing. Everyone's questioning him on this, and even I have at some point. But he is so finely tuned at his job, he knows when to make the motion. Because sometimes 99% of getting something done isn't what, it's when. And she's been going in front of the 11th Circuit every day, justifying her bogus legal decisions, having them overturned, and she's waiting. Guaranteed at the end of that case, she will not be the judge. Which means not good for Donald. Okay? Just a small little point I want to put in, and then I'm going to talk about the something bigger. Wokeism. It seems like when the war in Gaza started, people stopped talking about wokeism and cancel culture and all that because it wasn't popular for the Democrats at all. I predict DeSantis is going to try to bring it back into the national conversation. But in America, we don't like repeats. We like new material. So it's just going to annoy people. I don't really think it'll affect the election either way, but for some reason I wrote it, so I thought I'd say it. Okay. This point, people don't really understand when I explain it to them, but it's not that difficult. There's a level of crazy that's acceptable for every person to be a part of. Where's that level? Well, that's decided by the person. Person A might be very introverted and just walking outside is doing something crazy. Person B might be extroverted and jumping out of a plane is a 3-time-a-week occurrence. So I can't tell you where this line is. But there's lines of crazy going as far left as you can and as far right as you can. But where do they both end right now? Because people don't like to be considered crazy. If you go all the way to the Democrats, craziest thing they've done, Jamal Bowman, progressive, hit the fire alarm in Congress to avoid a vote and got arrested and charged and convicted. That's the craziest. If you can tell me something crazier. And he lost his primary yesterday. So he won't even be an issue. Now the Republicans, the party of God, their level of crazy stretches out way further. Their level of crazy involves blaming the Jewish people for lasers that started the fires in California. The Republicans' crazy is so far out, it's okay to talk about family values on the halls of Congress, then meet someone on a dating app, decide to see a show with them. I just don't know YouTube rules for that. Go to see a show with them. First time they've met that individual. Exhale, vape into a pregnant woman's face and jerk the guy off. And then, when approached about it, lie about it. So they look at the dark cameras so that the whole country sees it. That, and then, just because I always love adding it in, nuking hurricanes. The Dems, one guy pulled the fire alarm and was arrested, as he should have been, and lost his primary and is dealing with the consequences. So people don't like being called crazy. So, and the Republican Party just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. So people would rather be with the Democrats because at least they can't get made fun of that their person is giving HJs at a children's show in the dark and then denying it. Both sides have levels of crazy, but the Republicans is far, like miles ahead. Miles. Okay, and tomorrow is the debate. The debate. On one side, you will have President Joe Biden. On the other side, 51% chance have Donald Trump. He's thrown feelers out there that he may not be showing up, which he really can't do now because then he looks weak. And that's the worst thing he can do for him is look weak. You know, ego, all ego. He was so stupid when it was like a few months ago, a reporter asked him, "Are you going to debate Joe Biden?" And he said, "I'll debate him anytime, any place, anywhere," because he doesn't know the place and where are the same thing. And like Kellyanne Conway wouldn't have let those words come out of his mouth because he just let Joe Biden choose the venue, the moderators, when. He pretty much made Joe Biden organize this whole debate. Of course he's going to organize it to make himself look good. Misstep. Every presidential debate should be put on by the Committee of Presidential Debates. Not this rogue thing they're doing, but it's going to be perfect for Joe. Because of the law of low expectations. Biden can pull out a George W. Bush move. Now, I don't know if any of you remember, but when Bush was running for president, the big thing against him was he was a moron, which I don't believe. I actually think he's a somewhat intelligent man. But the Gore campaign, they hit on his intelligence, and that was really it. So, the first debate comes around, which I was at, by the way. This was the first election I voted in, too. And Bush looks like usual George W. Bush, and he speaks just fine. He's not especially eloquent, but he doesn't come off like a moron. While Gore just keeps saying the word lockbox. If you were to not have that background information, you would probably think that Gore destroyed him. But you do have that information. And you do know what I just said. So with the expectations of Gore and the expectations of Bush, Bush shredded him in that debate. Why? Because all he had to do is stand up and say, I want to be the president. That's it. Up to his tribal chief. So easy. So that's what the Republicans have done to Biden now. They've invented a character that doesn't exist of a crotchety old man who can't put two sentences together, can't think, doesn't know where he is, but simultaneously is running a worldwide criminal enterprise. Well, we'll just leave that last part out. Biden is going to look good for the sole purpose that he's going to show up. Also, they're going to be muting them during times of non-speaking. So when the other one is speaking. You don't think Trump, to get his answer, is going to scream over that thing? Scream over the people hosting the debate? Scream over Biden? And it's not going to be a good look. Be a really bad look. So he's going to be screaming and yelling. And I wish I could get this information to Joe. If there's one thing he can do to get under Trump's skin, is every time he talks, just casually throw in there the 2020 election. Be like, CNN, thank you for hosting this debate. As the winner of the 2020 presidential election, boom, and then go into blah, 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 blah. Or anything. Just throw it, just make sure Trump has to hear that he lost every time Biden's mouth opens. He'll implode. No, stay on page. Stay on page. I'm getting used to doing this live now. So, I want to talk about three last things. Well, two of them are predictions, and one of them is stop you sound stupid. Okay, this whole Obama is really in charge thing, shut up you sound stupid. No, he's not. Obama just had 8 years of this. A, he doesn't want to. And B, do you think Joe Biden's been running for president for like 50 years to just hand power over to someone else? No. Joe Biden is running the show. If you think he's old, okay, he's old and running the show. But to say he's acquiesced all power to Barack Obama makes no sense. Now, my vice presidential pick. See, I didn't give this a lot of thought because I knew it was going to be Kristi Noem for the longest time. What I didn't know is that she was so dumb to publish a book about where she confesses to shooting a dog. Had I known that, she wouldn't have been on my list. But my final answer. Now keep in mind, this isn't like, oh, you were wrong on that. This is just, you're asking me to get into like the craziest man in the world's head and decide something. So if I'm wrong, I don't care. If I'm wrong on the election, that would break my streak. Tim Scott. Because he will kiss Trump's ass till the cows come home. Any religious people that Trump might have lost due to trying to hang Mike Pence, who's evangelical, he'll get back. He's a man of color. So I'm predicting, I'm putting it in, locking it in. I'm not actually gambling on it. Tim Scott. However, if the election were in 2021, it would have been very different. Because when I do politics, I'm going to be rocking this shirt. Trump, JFK Jr., 2021. I have to have proof of the times we're living in. Okay, I'll be going offline. I'll be online in about 20 minutes to half an hour to tell a personal, non-political story. I love you all, including the Trump voters. Oh, I had to make one final thing. I can't believe I almost forgot. Where do conservatives go after they get beaten this time around? And what I'm going to say is pretty radical. The Republican Party needs to disband. They are a broken party that cannot get back together. And you have enough divergence of thought amongst the Democrats, the progressives, and like the classic Democrats, that will splinter off into two parties. Because unfortunately, while I would love to get rid of the two-party system, I'd love to live in a parliamentary government as well. Either way, based on what we got, I really think that The Republican Party is nearing the end, and the Democratic Party will break into two, the Democratic Party and the Progressive Party. But who knows? I could be wrong. Well, see you all in 20 minutes. I love you all, even the Trump voters. You're welcome. Even the non-Trump Republicans. Everyone's welcome on my page, and everyone's welcome to challenge something I say. I like that. Love y'all.